Hey everybody, welcome to Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Bladesofgod, and today we are adding a new video to our Gears 5 Master Escape series, and we're going to be tackling what I consider to be the hardest map in this game, the Split. With me as always I have Mr. Beardsley and Pyrociterwatz, and for the classes we're going to be bringing into this Hive, we are going to be running the following. I myself am going to be running the Marksman class, focusing on M-bar capacity, M-bar damage, critical headshot, and explosive headshot. Pyrociterwatz is going to be running the mechanic, strictly for the turret and the increased DB weapon damage, and then Mr. Beardsley is running demolitions, focusing on custom boom, artillery cards, and of course explosive bleed. Looking at the modifiers for this map, the Split, we have freezing sniper bullets, so enemy snipers fire freezing bullets that freeze you in one shot, regen penalty, more health, more lethal, faster venom, Iron Man, and vampiric enemies. Vampiric enemies means that if an enemy damages you, it regains health at your expense. So not a lot of really difficult modifiers. The one that we really need to be careful of are those freezing M-bars or the freezing sniper enemies, because they will ruin your run very quickly. So let's get right into the map here. As soon as we come out of the spawn room, the safe room, you're going to have two deadeyes that you need to deal with right away. What we like to do is kind of hang out right near the door here and try to lure these enemies in, because there's going to be a big open area, and across the way from where we start there's going to be more snipers. So we try to lure these deadeyes over to us so we can get some M-bars, and now I have an M-bar as the marksman and I'm going to go to work. Pyrociterwatz picked up the other M-bar that the other deadeye dropped, because even though he doesn't get the explosive headshot like you just saw there, he still has increased damage on DB weapons and can be very useful. So we kind of divvy up the M-bar ammo between the marksman class and the mechanic class. So what you're going to want to do here, again, while avoiding the deadeyes across the way, you want to take out the enemies on the other side of the map as quickly as possible. Again, the explosive headshot does a great job with that, and the marksman is very useful here. Just kind of move up as you go. Don't forget, as the marksman, you also have your bolt-hawk, which counts as a precision weapon, so you can make use of that as well. But once all the enemies are cleaned up on the far side of that map, you're going to want to advance down this little side corridor, and you're going to get rushed by either rejects or juvies right here. We get the juvie spawn. One isn't really better or worse than the other. It's just, you know, different ways of tackling those enemies. But again, with the explosive headshot, if I manage to get one headshot, it takes out a couple of the enemies that are around them. So that's what you want to do, is kind of have your marksman focus on trying to pull off a few headshots just to thin the herd as they're attacking you. So as we get through this room and come up to the next area, we're going to come to the first of the splits that the map is named after. You can go to the left, and what we do is we actually have our non-marksman classes, both of them, go to the left and try to each get one of the venom fans. So two allies go to the left side, one for each venom fan. The marksman class comes to the right side, loads up on ammo, and then comes over through this door to start going to work. So we're going to go on the right side. This is the Fabricator side, and this is the side that we're actually going to advance down. And the reason we do this is because you can get some good explosive weapons in these Fabricators for Beardsley. So that's what we're going to do. And again, we sent a couple of allies down the left side just to get those venom fans to buy us some more time, so the venom doesn't push us as bad. So make sure when your allies are coming back from that left side that they close the doors behind them, because if they don't, then you're going to have guardians following you across, and that's really going to ruin your day. So just make sure you close those doors as your allies come back to the right side here. So you can see there I was going to work using that M-bar, active reloads, and getting critical headshots to maximize my damage output. And I cleaned up, I believe, 3 of the DR1s, and now I'm going to get flooded by juvies. Again, you can get rejects here. Again, one isn't really better or worse than the other, but it just kind of fall back as you need to. Give yourself some space. You've got plenty of time before the venom catches up to you. So take out the juvies, work together as a team. You can see we're kind of trying to separate out the focus of the juvies as best we can so no one gets surrounded. And you can see even with the hammer burst, the explosive headshot still works. Unfortunately right here, my teammates Beardsley and Pyro both got down, so I just kind of fell back a little bit and allowed Beardsley and Pyro to block the juvies from getting to me, and used that time to pull off a headshot and clean up the rest of those juvies. But again, here we go, we're up. I'm going to fall back and reload my M-bar and my bolt-hawk with whatever ammo boxes are left in this little ammo room. There's also some grenades on the ground, so make sure that you grab any grenades or any explosive pouches that are left. That way everybody has at least flash grenades on them. I'm actually going to pick up incendiaries from this other side. And you can see that I came all the way over to the left ammo room just to get as much ammo as I could for my M-bar. With your M-bar capacity increased to the maximum using your skill card, you can hold up to 20 rounds, or 20 extra rounds and then 3 in the chamber. So 23 rounds total. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm falling back. Beardsley and Pyro are actually engaging with the enemy who are down by the Fabricator right now. And we're trying to get Beardsley, like I said, those explosive weapons out of the Fabricator. We're going to bypass that first Fabricator completely, as there's nothing overly useful in there. You could get, I believe, a buzzkill or a mulcher out of that first Fabricator, but that's not of much use to us, so we're just going to pass that one right by. The second Fabricator that you could see Beardsley's kind of going down, or actually this is the third Fabricator, I'm sorry. The third Fabricator I believe you get a boom shot from. The second Fabricator you can get a Lancer grenade launcher, so those are the two items you're going to want to have your Demolitions class get. And again, it's just come over here. You can see he has the torque bow already, and I should have mentioned that the torque bow is actually in that right ammo room, so I'm going to grab the torque bow for Beardsley here in just a moment. For whatever reason I couldn't reach it, so Beardsley's going to grab it for me and drop it on the ground, and then I'll go over and I end up carrying the torque bow forward for him. But that doesn't happen for another minute here. So we're going to advance. All the enemies are cleared out in this section. You can see he just grabbed the torque bow and dropped it on the ground for me, so I'm going to go back. We are wasting a little bit of time here, but again, I want to make sure that we're carrying as much of the explosive ammo forward for Beardsley as possible. So now I'm running M-bar and torque bow as my weapon set. Another piece of advice is while you're going through that area, do not use the ladders, use the ramps. If you use the ladder and there's an enemy down below you and he shoots you and you go into the down but not out status while on the ladder, you die instantly. So, coming back to this room here, this ammo room, you can see I activated my X-ray to try and deal as much damage as I could. I managed to get one headshot that took a few enemies off the board, and then I engaged the Guardian that was out there, and our plan here is pretty simple. Pyro's going to use his turret, you can see right here, he's going to set up in the doorway and just go to town, focusing first on the Guardians and bleeding them down. He's set up so he has his shredder rounds on his turret, and that will cause plenty of bleed damage to take down DR1s and Guardians. Beardsley's going to chip in with his explosive damage where he can, and I'm going to work the headshot angles as best that I can. And we're basically going to sit in this room and thin out the right side of this coming room as much as we can, so there's as few enemies as possible once we actually exit out into this area. Now you can see that Beardsley and Pyro are holding down the right side as best they can. I'm going over to the left, trying to focus on cleaning up some of the enemies across the way here. And ideally what you want to do is make sure that you get the tri-shots off of the downed Guardians. You're going to want to carry those forward through the safe room into the second half of the map, or the first part of Act 2, if you will. You want to make sure that your mechanic is carrying those and using those, as the increased DB weapon card or skill also applies to the tri-shot. So that's going to give a lot of extra ammo, and it's very good at making headshots. So it's a great weapon to carry forward into the coming battle if you're able to do it. If you're not, it's okay too. It's not a big deal. So what we're doing is we're trying to clean up as many of these enemies, especially the snipers, as we can, because I need to get additional M-bar ammo. So you can see I'm taking my time getting the headshots on these sniper enemies, and as soon as they're all cleaned up, we're going to go through and scavenge as much ammo as we can from as many enemies as we can, because right after the safe room, you have a very, very large fight to deal with, and because we're not running a tactician, which you could do, you can run a tactician instead of the Demolitions class, but we opted against that just to have more bleed damage and the artillery strike option. You want to make sure that you load up on as much ammo as possible. Now what I was saying before is that if we'd had a little bit more time, we would have grabbed the tri-shots off of those downed Guardians and brought that forward. Pyro would have actually used those as the mechanic, and the reason he would have done that is because he gets the DB weapon boost, and that applies to the the tri-shot weapons as well. And what we're doing right now is that we're actually just waiting for as long as we can to let our ultimates recharge as much as possible. but I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this so you don't have to sit through it. So you can see that we did indeed gain a little bit of our ultimate recharge back by waiting until the Venom forced the door to close, and that's absolutely a tactic you can use if you want to gain that little bit of an additional help. We're going to go ahead and skip the safe room. There's nothing really special in there, a few ammo boxes, and a torque bow that your Demolitions character can definitely pick up. But as you come out of this room, you are going to be in a firefight right off the bat. And here is a great reason why we have a Demolitions with us, because the explosive bleed does a great job of clearing out these enemies, and the Marksman class does a terrific job with headshots of clearing out groups of enemies when he can. You could see right at the beginning as the door opened, I was able to get a headshot, took out 2 Deadeyes, and basically all you're going to do here, we like to post up on this door, kind of on this railing, and just use whatever you need to use to get through this part as quickly as possible. You can see Pyro's doing work with the M-bar, I'm doing work with the M-bar, and Beardsley, like I said, he's doing his best to use his explosives to get bleed going on as many enemies as possible. And don't worry if you feel like you're using up all of your ammo. We're going to be taking the left path after this room, and there is quite a bit of ammo to be had in the next area. Once you clear out the initial group of enemies, you're going to want to approach with caution or proceed with caution to these kind of pillars right here. You're going to have elite drones come out of the right and the left sides of these doors, and it's very difficult to get clean angles on them where you're going to be safe enough to fire. We struggle a lot with this section. It's probably the second most difficult part of the entire map, with the DR1 hold at the end that you're going to see shortly being the most difficult. You can see I was going to fall back into the safe room to try to grab some more ammo, but unfortunately the Venom had advanced too much. If you're a little bit quicker, you can fall back and reload your weapons. But again, like I said, it's not a huge deal because we are going to have a lot of ammo right up ahead here, and you can absolutely scavenge some some M-bar ammo from the downed Deadeyes. So here we go, we're on the left side, we're going down the med bay path, as some people like to call it. There is plenty of ammo, there's explosive crates in here, so make sure everybody stocks up. And what we're going to do is we are going to have Beardsley use his explosives to try and bleed down these Guardians as fast as he can, with the hope of getting the Guardians to drop in an area where we can get the salvos off of their bodies. This is kind of tricky to do, and you could use either the X-ray or the turret if you really get in a bind here, but we have a very specific vision for when we use our ultimates, and I'm going to explain that as we go. So basically what's going to happen is Beardsley's going to continue to do his best to use the explosives that he has to clean up these Guardians. Pyro's chipping in where he can with his overkill and his M-bar, and I'm trying to take out enemies across the way by the bridge. You can see right there Beardsley using the Lancer GL to try to get some bleed going. And these enemies are tough. Those shields on the Guardians and the Sentinels, they take a lot of abuse before they finally drop, and once they're down, it seems like they come back really quickly. So there we go. Pyro just took down the other Sentinel, so both Sentinels are now down. Beardsley's going to grab the salvos off of those Sentinels and carry them forward. And you can see I'm just going to work trying to snipe as many enemies as I can. You saw we hit that Venom fan. The Deadly Venom is very close to us right now. Ideally, you would pull this off a little bit faster so you have a little bit more time to work. But as soon as you can, you want to have somebody get down here to this room, to the right side of those pillars, and activate this bridge. Because that bridge does take a little while to come up, and you are sort of at a standstill until the bridge raises, and you can't do anything to really accelerate that process. So kind of pick your shots, take your time, pick your shots, get headshots, and clean up these enemies across the way as fast as you can. Right now, you should have your mechanic and your marksman with their ultimates ready to go, and Beardsley's Demolitions ultimate should be ready to go as well. So all three of your ultimates should be ready, and we're going to be using all three of them very shortly on the upcoming part of the map, which is without question the most difficult part. So you get across the bridge, activate the med bay on the left side, and then activate the Venom fan in the back. Once everybody's loaded up on ammo and ready to go, you go through this big door. Make sure you close the door behind you because, again, Guardians or Sentinels will come all the way around the map and then kind of attack you from behind. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to run around behind this big fan and set up over here on the right side. And what's going to happen is I'm going to activate my X-ray and I'm going to go to work trying to snipe out as many enemies as I can to get as many kills as I can as quickly as I can. And as soon as my X-ray runs out and the enemies start advancing, Pyro's going to set up with his turret sort of in that little room because it provides really good cover. And he's going to work on bleeding down first the Guardians, followed by the DR1s that come around the corner. And then Beardsley's on the left using that salvo, again, to try to get bleed damage going on as many enemies as possible, focusing first on the Guardians and then on the DR1s. And I'm chipping in with explosive headshot damage wherever I can, like right here. Once the mechanic has run out of turret or the turret has expired, what you're going to want him to do is have the overkill, because the damage boost that he gets does work with the overkill as well. And you're going to want him to go to work with that overkill, putting as much damage on the enemies as he can. You saw Beardsley there just trying to use that Lancer GL to get some bleed going. And this is a fairly safe method to try to replicate. It is challenging. I mean, we get through this fairly clean, except for this part right here where a DR1 snuck up around the left side because Beardsley had run out of explosives. Thankfully, the DR1 had to reload, so I was able to get everybody back up. But this is a fairly safe method, and as long as you are efficient with your shots, you shouldn't have any problems replicating this. So right now you can see that the Deadly Venom is already caught up to us, so we need to push ahead. You've got to be very careful because there is still enemies up here, both claw drones, DR1s, and Deadeyes. You can see a DR1 just jumped over that barrier there, and you need to push ahead. So basically, whatever you have left at your disposal, go ahead and use it. Your Demolitions still should have his mortar strike ready to go, so if you need to, you absolutely can use that. You can see Pyro right here wanted us to leave him behind, just use him as a distraction, but we don't leave anyone behind when we can help it. So I got him up, and now we're making our way to the Helipad. That is a very challenging section. It will take a few tries to get it, but I promise that this method does work. Once you get to the Helipad, what you're going to want to do is fall back. You see Beardsley set a couple of incendiary grenades. I throw a couple of incendiary grenades to try to slow things down. But you're going to have DR1s and rejects trying to make it out the door. With the rejects, don't bother trying to go with body shots. Shoot the rejects in the legs until they fall over. And then the DR1s, again, just use whatever you have at your disposal to take them off the board as quickly as you can. And that's it, guys. That is how we make it through the split. I really hope you found this helpful. Good luck, and until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at XXMrBeardsleyXx. I am Bladesofgod, and until next time, have a great day everyone.